Influence of mass media on the perceptions of crime and deviance. The patterns of deviance are constantly changing throughout time. Deviance is viewed as abnormal when, in some cases, the deviant behavior or attitudes are not a threat to society. The propaganda that is spread on television causes people to have the wrong perception towards minorities. In addition, various stereotypes are created and it can affect the individual's education or the ability to obtain a job. The propaganda that is reflected on the media outlets create a wave of fear among society. For example, people who have a big platform on social media are able to easily influence younger individuals. An influencer might show themselves consuming illegal substances or alcohol, and the younger audience will believe that that behavior is acceptable. The top 5 corporations that control 90% of the media content are News Corporation, Viacom, AOL, Time Warner, Bertelsmann, and Disney. Lately, there has been a lot of controversy with the films that Disney has been releasing. For example, not so long ago, the movie Buzz Lightyear was released and it had a massive amount of negative comments and backlash because it portrayed a couple of the same sex. The movie was banned in several countries. There are still many individuals around the world who are not open minded or fully educated on social topics. If people utilize their social imagination, they will not have the same negative reaction. The content that these corporations release to the public have a high influence in society, and people are being brainwashed. Does mass media create unwarranted levels of fear of crime in society? What we view as a mental illness in the United States, in other countries it can be viewed as a phase or crime. In some cases, people whose mental illnesses are neglected can have serious consequences in the future. It is important that other countries and cultures are educated about mental health. For example, in the Mexican culture, mental health is still highly stigmatized. Machismo is male dominance and aggression towards women that is still portrayed within that culture. In addition, machismo is linked to the denial of women being in educational, work, and financial superiority that are connected with independence. In the textbook, The Relativity of Deviance, it mentioned that an individual's mental health can be highly affected by the environment that they are surrounded with. People who live in a poor neighborhood do not have the same opportunities as an individual who has a higher status, which can lead to substance abuse. How do the perceptions of crime reinforce social labels and stereotypes in society? Many ethnic groups, such as African Americans, are being discriminated and labeled as criminals due to their demographic background and false information and stereotypes that are given by the media. In addition, minorities are being portrayed in a negative way where people of different races exaggerate their encounters with minorities. African Americans are most likely to be presented as criminals on movies, television, and news than police officers. African Americans are overrepresented as perpetrators and underrepresented as victims compared to white individuals on television. Priming investigations indicate that exposure to racial ethnic stereotypes in the media can influence real-world racial evaluations such as misconceptions, stereotypes regarding minorities. The use of stereotypical images of African American women in advertisements and film is used to promote political agendas. The implemented racism is a result of the representation that has gone on for centuries. White middle class women are rarely tested or incarcerated for using alcohol, tobacco, or other drugs while pregnant because they do not fall under the stereotype of a poor African American woman who is addicted to crack. Due to the bias and unfair stereotypes, the statistics are in favor of making African American women look in a negative way. Women of color are not being tested accurately or represented in real and factual environment. Instead, they are being put in categories where the statistics are biased and misleading. The most interesting concept presented in the textbook is how the patterns of deviance are constantly changing throughout time. People judge deviant behavior, such as crimes and among others, because it violates the norms of society or the ideas that they believe in. For example, in the beginning of chapter 1, I was shocked to read that a father would punish his own son because he would write with his left hand. The father would verbally and physically abuse him by slapping him on the back of the head and tying his left hand behind his back. It is interesting that when an individual is considered to have a deviant behavior, society tries to change it. There are deviant behaviors that do break the law and harm others. People should understand all the viewpoints on human attitudes, behaviors, and conditions. The BJS National Crime Survey is the nation's primary source of information on NCVS. Persons are interviewed on the characteristics of criminal victimization in the U.S. The NCVS collects info on robbery, aggravated and simple assault, non-fatal perusal crimes, sexual assault. In addition, it collects characteristics of the crime and offender. Data is collected from about 240,000 persons and 150,000 households. The theoretical perspective that best describes the influence of mass media on the social perceptions of crime and deviant behavior are conflict theory and symbolic interactionism. It falls under the category of conflict theory because social and economic factors are the causes of crime. In addition, crimes that are committed by wealthy white individuals are dismissed, while minorities are not. Conflict theory also discusses how racism is a stereotypical factor to punish minorities for crimes. Symbolic focuses on the labeling theory.